So something we were talking about earlier was Nagasaki Tower?
Nakatomi.
Nakatomi
Tower.
Nakatomi Tower?
Plaza.
Nakatomi Plaza. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
There are people already tuning out because we just
they are.
their
Sorry,
Die
please
Hard
don't turn us off yet. So Nakatomi Plaza, Die Hard fans out there, not a Christmas movie. Settle down. No. We were talking about if... it's episode 1 here. It's fun. This is exciting, and you're hopping in an elevator with maybe Mr. Gruber himself, a little Hans action. You got 80 floors you're going up, and Hans goes, "Hey, Chris, you look like a guy who just started a podcast." And that's how he talks to us, what he sounds like. What
just magically knows my name too.
And he speaks very good English and asks you, well, what's that going to be about? Why are you starting another podcast in 2024? What in the world are you doing? What would you say?
Well, I would say that he actually did speak some pretty good English when he, pretended to be the other guy. So
that's true. Actually, he did very good acting.
Just for all you diehard.
Is that Alan Rickman, by the way? Was that Alan Rickman?
Alan Rickman. Yes,
Alan Rickman, good. Phenomenal actor.
Phenomenal.
Yep. Phenomenal.
Yeah. But if he...
So first you would say he's phenomenal. Hans, you are phenomenal. Let me just start off.
I'd say Snape was phenomenal, but maybe not Gruber. Anyway, so we're traveling up, and he somehow knows that I have a podcast after he knows my name, which I find both miraculous.
Naturally.
But, if he were to ask, and we only had 80 to 120 floors.
You're up like 10 floors already, but no pressure.
So better get to it. I would tell him, Hans, this is a podcast for men. It is. And you know what we're going to talk about? We're going to talk about some of the things that tend to plague. Is plague okay? Can we use plague? Plague?
Or, that plague? Like things that plague men?
Plague men, or get in the way, hindrances.
Get in the way, probably. Do you say plague very often when you're talking to someone?
Not very often. No, but maybe in the presence of Hans.
Hans is a big plague guy. Is that what you're saying?
I think he is a plague. He's a walking plague.
Oh, nice. Way to go.
But I digress. So how many floors are we up now? We've got about...
Just 70. It's fine. You got 10 left.
I better get to it. He's a busy man. He's got things to do. And he's got a date with Destiny coming up here pretty soon. So anyway, Hans, buddy, pal, these hindrances that get in the way of men actually reaching their full potential, that's what we're after here. We want to talk about those things. We want to help men get to, traveling a little bit further down the road than where they're at. Whether you're stuck in a place you don't know why, whether you're running into some challenges here recently with changes in life, changes in relationships. Those are definitely things that can get in the way. And when we're talking about things that get in the way, you and I were talking about an article that we read, and the things that tend to, at least 5 different things that were pointed out in that article. One was the lack of an example of men today. What's it supposed to look like? There's certainly different ideas on that, and certainly we've seen examples to both extremes, and then lack of time that we have as men.
Yeah,
that we are certainly pulled in a lot of different directions, and it's hard to do everything well. We might just focus on doing one thing well at the expense of other things. Lack of purity. There's definitely sexual temptation surrounding us like never before, and we have to treat that with all seriousness there for not just our relationships with our wives or our girlfriends, but also our relationship with the Lord, most importantly. And the fourth being the lack of purpose. That there's certainly things that we make out to be important, and oftentimes we don't think about the greater purpose of our life and what we're actually meant for. And so that, while good, that we're doing good things, it might be at the sacrifice of the best. And then lack of friends.
That's good.
True, authentic friends that are able to challenge us, that have open voice into our lives, and that we also can do the same, so that we can make sure that we are keeping each other sharp. That was another maybe something missing in a lot of men's lives, and so we definitely want to promote that, and we want to make sure that there's ability to work on these things together, and we're not going to do this alone. We definitely want to invite some folks on to this podcast, guests that can speak into these different things. And, and you may not know who Mike and I are here as you're listening to this, and we certainly don't expect you to. And for those that don't know us, we definitely want to share our story as we go into the next couple of episodes. And those that do know us, they've put up with us this long. Maybe they'll see a different side of us here and come to appreciate us even more. I don't know. But we'll leave that to them.
Well, something that stood out to us, we were talking about this before we hit record, was there's a lot, the 5 things you kind of mentioned there, there's so much overlap in guys that we talk to. I mean, ladies as well. It kind of goes for both parties, but especially with men, I think there's something in all guys that really strive to have a purpose and have some kind of meaning. There's a driver in them. They don't necessarily always act on that driver. I think sometimes we suppress it or, act like a little boy or something like that and just kind of laugh it off. But at the end of the day, we're sitting in a room by ourselves, left to our own thoughts. I think there's something more inside of us. And at the same time, we make mistakes, and
just a few. Yeah,
just a few. I can think of already a few I've made today. And Chris, you probably made like 3 times that amount of mistakes. And so,
me.
So, we're not quite there. That's the heartbeat behind it. We're not going to quite be there on this side of heaven. That's okay, by the way. And it's okay to not be there. But what are we doing with that? Are we kind of sulking in that kind of attitude or throwing in the towel, or are we choosing to keep striving and moving forward? And that really just comes at a pace of one step at a time. And so I think we were just thinking maybe at our age and experience and being able to, I think we're kind of somewhere in the middle, being able to pour into people younger than us and older, and then us being equipped and getting stronger ourselves as we go. It's just a matter of, okay, what is that next step for each of us? What's the thing we're currently going through that we could take a next step of growth in, especially in light of still making mistakes, because we can really grow together, and I think connect in our weaknesses versus any kind of approach of, I have it perfect and I have it figured out. I mean, anyone who obviously is talking like that, they're pulling a Hans Gruber on you,
They're getting Grubered.
Yeah, they're getting Grubered. Hans Grubered. So I feel like that's kind of what Hans would, that's kind of what
that's how he would say
like.
It, right?
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of what I've heard in the movie. That's my acting ability right there. We'll hear about that in another episode. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of that's the goal. That's what we want to do. Interviews, us talking. I think maybe covering sometimes serious topics. And I also think we're going to have a lot of laughter and randomness at the exact same time. But that's the beauty of real life.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to anybody that wants to hop along on this journey too. And, I think there's a lot to be gained here if we can really see what are some good examples of what God intended for men, and also, maybe seeing that there's more time than you think. That would be a nice little value add there. Mm-hmm. Ways to put purity over our flesh, to really relish that communication with God, remaining open, and that there not be any shame in our walk with Him, and that purpose being defined, so that you can see beyond yourself, and then also knowing that you have opportunity there for real authentic friendships with other men that can be there for years upon end.
Yeah, so that's the hope, and so we want to come at this at a weekly basis, and we invite you to come along with us. Listen to what we're going to be talking about, what we believe the Lord is teaching us and growing us on, different interviews we'll have, and stick with us along the way. Give us feedback as well on what you're going through and different things we can cover, whether it's questions or information you're looking for, anything like that. We're here to serve, and we're going to continue making mistakes every day as well, but we can continue to strive ahead.
Word.
I thought you were going to say something to that. Oh. Thank you all so much for joining us. We would absolutely love to hear from you and would love for you to write a review and hit subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast. Remember to keep moving forward because we're not quite there.